Hey, it's Joe Welch's. Thank you for joining me on the Colonial RV channel. And today we're going to talk about the 2026 Winnebago Solis 59P that you see behind me here with the pop top option. It's on the Ram ProMaster 2500 chassis, and I'm really excited to tell you all the updates with this model. Are you ready? Let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about with the Solis 59P here is that on the Ram 2500 chassis, we have a exterior length of 19 foot 9 inches. We have a width of about 6 feet 9 inches and a height of only 9 feet and 5 inches. So it's an impressive sized van, fits great in a parking space, and it actually is roughly $20,000 cheaper base price than the 3500 van that would only be 21 feet, just a little bit longer there. A few things I want to mention about the 2026 models. Of course, we can get the bright silver like you see here. We can also get a bright white exterior color as well as the ceramic gray. With the PX, there's one more paint option available, but with the P versus the PX, you have the option of course, a Murphy loft bed that we have inside, or a sofa rear bed. And the sofa rear bed is actually going to be one of the options. It's a great option because it adds 2 additional seat belts if you're trying to bring more than 4 people along. And I wanted to mention that the sofa option available between is one of only a few options available for the P and the PX. Now with the P, I want to mention that we do have a standard AC on the roof behind the pop top here. Previous models, 2020 to 24, did not have that AC, and this is actually a brand new compact AC for 2026. This is also very exciting. This is a brand new pop top, now made in-house with Winnebago. It actually opens up slightly larger than the previous model that was also known for opening up larger for full-size adults. So if you're bringing larger adults or larger kids, it's nice that they'll still be comfortable up there with the headroom and the space in the pop top option above. So the pop top is an option. The AC is standard. The sofa bed in the rear would be an option, as well as a Luno cab bed in the front. And check out my Luno video if you haven't already. And the other option, the last option, now available in 2026 on the Solis 59P, is a generator in the rear of the van. So this is huge. We didn't have this before on any of the 59P models. It's great to see that it is going to be a gas generator from Flex Power, and it's not going to sacrifice really any of the space in the rear that we were using for anything otherwise. There's a few other changes I want to go over inside, but I wanted to quickly hit all the options for you and talk about that. And if you have any further questions, please remember you can always contact me. And in the rear of the van here, I wanted to mention the other big change is instead of a B&B Nautilus, we now have our own in-house water management system here in the rear of the Solis. The winterization valve is actually going to be a pickup line behind this panel here. So it's one of those things that's just been nice and easily made by Winnebago for you to be able to winterize the van yourself. If you're not in the position to bring to a service center, it's just great that they make it nice and easy, and the owner's manuals are very detailed in the process. Now, of course, we have an exterior shower right here. We have the fresh waterfall, and of course, I also want to mention the solar is expandable off the rear. So we have 220 watts of solar on the roof on the flexible panel on top of the pop top, but the controller could handle a few more watts. So of course, if you have an expandable panel, you could always hook it in back here. And of course, we do have a 110 outlet that's going to run off the inverter. Also, we have new redesigned rear rear door shades, as well as covers on our windows. Inside, they're removable from quick button snaps, very convenient. And in the rear, not only are they zippered to open, they're magnetic, so they're very easily removable. You could stow these anywhere else if you want to keep light coming in from the back of the van, but when you want to have some privacy, it's very easy to just zip these up and give yourself a little bit of less light shining into the van. And of course, we still have the rear shower booths, so these arms come off the rear doors here, and we have a black curtain that will hang just above head level here, so you have some privacy when you're using the outdoor shower. But that curtain is also able to attach to those little Velcro circles in the front. So if you're just quickly trying to blind out the front, you can quickly attach that curtain. And of course, we still have cab inserts for those the windshield and the side windows. So if you rotate the seats, we still have privacy or insulation from the sun there. And of course, a ProMaster chassis, despite this being the 2500, not the 3500, we still have 3,500 pounds of towing capabilities, as well as a 350 pound max load. So if we're putting a bike rack back here or a storage box. We just have to adhere to keeping that weight below 350. So moving along to the side, of course we have the twist lock with our ground, load, and neutral indicator. So any of these will flash red if we're having an issue there. Of course, with the Solis, we have a cassette toilet here, so a 5.5 gallon tank that's just removable out the side. We also are now offering a service upgrade of the little fan insert that goes here. You can contact our parts or our service department about that. And new with 2026, we have an exterior freshwater fill on the van. So originally from 2020 to significantly later, either late 25 or just now in 2026, they added this exterior water fill. Originally, we wanted to have one less hole on the side of the van, and we didn't want a check valve that could potentially be a weak point for freezing right here on the side. So Winnebago did a lot of thinking, and they moved that check valve further into the van, and they still provide this exterior water fill for you. So whether you're filling your fresh tank or just pressurizing your lines, you have this fill right here. And of course, we have a Truma Combi on board. So this is a vent and an intake for that propane water heater slash furnace. Very, very efficient system. And of course, we can't see the tank mounted from this side, but we do have a switch on the other side I'll show you to control the solenoid on that propane tank. I wanted to point out quickly, we have our gray waste tank drain here. The fresh tank is inside, and I'll point that out to you, but we do have a gray tank with heat pads and of course a typical gravity drain right here. We've got the ProMaster exhaust, and real quick, I want to point out we do have blind spot monitoring. One of the newer features with the chassis here, as well as the heated mirrors. It's great to see on the Solis. Electronic adjustment. Comfortable seats that do have a lumbar and a base adjustment, in addition to, of course, the rotation and the tilt, which I love that, especially in a van of this size, because you really need a comfortable seat if you're going to be doing longer trips. Electronic park brake. I wanted to hop in from this side so I could show you the battery boost. We can actually use the house batteries to jumpstart the chassis in the event that it went low. It's been sitting for a long time, or it's cold outside like it is now here in New Jersey. And in the 2026 models and late 2025 ProMasters, we're going to see adaptive cruise control right here on our steering wheel, electronic stability control, lane keep assist, front and rear park sensors, and of course the digital running rear view camera. That's one of the most fantastic features that's become standard, as well as the blind spot monitoring. Those two things are important to mention to your insurance company when you're getting a quote on a van like this. So also I wanted to mention you'll have wireless charging here if you've optioned the chassis with it. But we always are going to have USB, 12 volt, USB-C, and 110 outlets here in the chassis as well as some storages both above and below. There's also a tire change kit and a tire fill kit that comes with these ProMasters. I don't typically mention that, but when we have a generator in the rear, we don't have room for a spare tire. So it's nice to have that tire fill and change kit. So in the event you take a puncture, you need to slime the tire. Ram already provides you with a device to kind of take care of yourself in that situation. And of course, roadside assistance is available for those who are interested as well. So I'm gonna meet you on the sliding door here, and I'm excited to show you the inside of the van. So new with 2026, we have brand new interior tones, but before I even step inside, I wanted to mention we have our propane tank fill, our bleeder valve, and our on-off to the solenoid. So we have a propane on and off switch inside, but we also have this here kind of like a safety. So if you really intend to keep it shut off and you don't want to accidentally hit the switch inside, it's nice to have that second switch out here as well. Also, we have the table that's featured on the Revel, the 36A, now available on the 59P. It's nice to just have another place to kind of dine outside in the mornings. And I just love to see this here on the other side of our fridge. And then here in our entranceway, I always like to talk about these roll-F screens. It's a nice alternative to a wipe screen that could get ruined by an excited animal, perhaps. And it's nice that this still has a magnetic catch. So once I have it zipped up, if I want to still be able to enter or exit the RV easily, I'm just working against that magnetic catch right there. And it overlaps a lot nicer than some I've seen previously. So stepping into the van here, first thing I wanted to mention is, of course, we have 12 volt and USB outlets, as well as a GFCI 110 outlet. Battery disconnect switch. This is going to just shut our batteries off for storage. And I've got my exterior light and my overhead light here. But of course, I want to show my 3 cubic foot, 12 volt Nova Core refrigerator. It's just one of the most reliable appliances that I've seen in an RV, honestly. And despite the size, the freezer and the fridge will actually hold a ton of food for a ton of adventures. So working my way in even further, I wanted to talk about the seats here. Of course, we have our front seats that will rotate and face the cab. So when I set up the table here, it's a nice space to dine in. But we also have access underneath our bench, not just to car seat anchors below here. So if you have younger kids you're bringing along, but also a quick little basin storage that also provides access to that Trumacombi water heater. So if I have to service this, if I'm winterizing, it's nice that I have a quick, easy access to this appliance in the RV. And of course, more USB and 12-volt outlets, as well as a nice 110 and a furnace vent right here to heat the front cab of the van. I also have this nice floor storage. I think this is great just if you have, you know, extra shoes, little tools or parts that you're just not going to be accessing often, that you want to bring along just in case of emergency. It's just nice to have that little storage solution there. And then of course we have the storage above the ProMaster cab, and that's actually where I've been hiding the newly designed ladder. So let me grab this guy out here. So with the ladder here, all we're doing is taking it from its fold, collapsing it together and locking our little latches. And now I'm going to take a quick trip up there, and I want you to join me so I can show it off. So up here in the new redesigned pop top, this is now built in-house by Winnebago, and it opens significantly taller in the rear. So keeping your pillows in, having enough headroom when you wake up, it's very nice to see. We can now fit 2 adults way more comfortably up here, and we've even added a few things like some quick above head storage, so if you're tucking your phone above you or just a few items you have in your pockets. We also have a lot of little accessories added to the inside of the pop top to keep the fabric pulled in as you close the top and you compress it. We also have a quick little vent in the top of the pop top here. That small vent is nice, so if we have these screen windows closed, we have some airflow coming through the van as we close that top. So it's not fighting as much as we come down. We have very strong struts, 220-pound force struts on either side and combined in the rear. And it's nice to see a nice airflow through these screened windows, and the front window opens entirely so that we can, you know, take photos through that front window or begin a video on a very positive note. So I also want to mention there's a few of these lanyards that will actually travel around the top, so you can pull that fabric in as you pull it down, as well as these extensions to my grip handles. So if you're pulling the top down from the inside, you don't have to be standing up on the ladder or on the bench seats there in order to pull it down. So setting up the dinette in the front here is very, very easy, and it's nice that the table and the table leg is actually stowed out of sight. So if you need more space in the van, or if you're setting up the ladder in the front here, it's nice that you can just tuck the table and the table leg behind your passenger seats in the back here. So just a quick aluminum pedestal goes into our base plate there, and then we're going to put our tabletop in position. And now we can dine with our spouse late at night, we could play a card game with the family, or we could just push the table out of the way if we're trying to set up our ladder here. And also I forgot to mention, we've got another heat vent here, GFCI outlet, and an outdoor shower connection right here. So whether we're rinsing off, you know, pets before we get into the van, we don't have to solely do that at the rear. We have a connection right here as well. So another thing that's right above my passenger seats in the back here is essentially the majority of our switches here for the van. So we have that LP valve on and off that I mentioned. This is just a thermostatic sensor for our furnace. So if it starts to get really cold in the van, this will temperature trigger the Truma to kick on. And then of course the tank heaters for the gray tank that I mentioned. And this light indicator lets us know that it's on at this time. And of course with it off, we know that the tank heater is off. I love these Trumacombis. It's arguably my favorite water heater on the market. We have internal temp, and then of course we have our water heat. And I wanted to mention boost mode here is actually going to take away from our furnace functionality and focus all the power towards the water heater. So if you've got a family of 4, if you're trying to take back-to-back showers, it's nice that the water heater will try to keep up with you in that boost mode. And of course, as I previously mentioned, we have a Xantrex solar controller on the roof to be paired with that 220 watt flexible panel on top of the pop top. And of course, we have that external port on the rear. So a lot of people do bring those portable foldable panels and hook that up. It's just important to always, if it's a 30 amp or 40 amp controller, you want to keep the wattage or the amperage below the limit of that controller. And again, I want to mention those cab shades like I mentioned in the back. These are easily removable, so if we want to get this out of the way or switch it out with a different color, anything like that, they're quickly removable and out of the way. And of course, we still have propane on the vans, so we have a propane cooktop. We've got a nice countertop space with the cocoa bean interior. This is a new laminate countertop, which looks very nice here. We've retained, this is made in metal stamping. You know, back in Iowa, in Winnebago, we have different facilities that are making everything. And I always like to take a look at just how well built some of these little items that Winnebago does in-house is. Just like this little spice rack above the kitchen here. And of course, 12 volt USB and 110 outlets. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. And then in the kitchen here, I just wanna mention a couple things because I promised I would show you where the fresh tank is housed. It's actually here inside the van. That helps, it being above the subfloor. Both the fresh tank and actually the pump is above the subfloor here and accessible, and even has heating ducts from the Trimaran to it. And those are just a few of the things that makes this arguably a better extended season van than a lot of the other entries that are comparable to it. The insulation from Winnebago, the subfloor, the hex core composite, all these things contribute to it being a better extended season van. Thermal cab lines, little things like that I just love to bring up. So this level light's just giving me a quick eyeglass indicator of my fresh tank level, but I also have a eco hot system that's going to really recirculate the water and the hot water lines back through the tank. So if we want to prime the system, so to speak, before we're doing some dishes or taking some showers, it's nice to have this on board. And of course, a nice deep storage. We can almost get a peek at that fresh tank right there from this storage. And what we always have to have, a nice drawer below. But of course we have, you know, kitchen light, 12 volt lighting, and a nice deep storage above the kitchen as well. So whether just a ton of dry goods or a few appliances, this is typically where I see the coffee maker housed. It's just nice to have these things. So on my left here in the center of the van and at a great size is of course our wet bath. You already saw the access to our cassette tank on the outside there, but I like to talk about our light switch, the Winnebago branded towel or hat rack right here, or key ring, whatever you want to hook on it. But one of the things that Winnebago does, because one of the things I want to keep in mind is a quiet, comfortable ride going down the road, is they'll invest in the latches or the hardware to keep these things fit and firm as you travel down the road so you're not hearing a lot of noise. So I just have to release my latch there, and then I have a strong magnet on the bottom, but a quick pull, and our wet bath is open. Love to see the mirror on the back of the door. And of course, we have our shower here. This little clothes rod is removable, but I do see a lot of people use this for wetsuits or you know, snow gear if you're out in the colder months. Nice little storage box and a waterproof storage here. This is a heated compartment, so you're not going to step into a cold shower in the middle of the night or cold bathroom to use the bathroom. And of course, we are flushing off the fresh tank, so that just filled with some antifreeze there. And this is adjustable. So if I need to step in here at 6 foot and maybe sit down so I have a little more room, there is a shower curtain that attaches up in the door opening, so if I need to have a little more elbow room or be able to expand and protect my door here, it's nice that the curtain is also available in this space. Stepping out, I want to show you the rear of the Solis 59P. This is, of course, is the Murphy Bed Plus model, but if we had a sofa model, we'd have a sofa right here. We'd still have the matching storages in the rear, and of course the compact AC above my head. The thing that's present only in the Murphy Plus model would be the storage that you see here as well as in the floor. So opening up the floor storage, again, like I mentioned, that little front compartment, it's nice to have some of the items that you might not need to access right away right here in the floor. And in addition to, of course, this floor storage, and I always think of hoses and different, you know, electrical cords, things I want to bring but not necessarily put in these storage solutions. I have a deep bin here that's actually high. The lower bin is actually built into the fender well. And right here you can see right on this WIFCO converter we have auto detect converters. So if we were to swap in lithionics, like perhaps a direct replacement lithionics battery of similar size, the converter would you know, register that battery chemistry right away. We would just have to let the solar controller know up front. And so we also have a nice drawer back here. It also can be pulled out and access the back of our converter, which is something I love from a technician standpoint. And then a nice deep closet storage here below the Murphy bed. So another huge change, arguably an improvement with 2026, is the new Reprieve mattress. Also made in-house, it's Stitchcraft at Winnebago. And it's a quick release here for me to bring the WinSleep system down. That's this nice, almost like mattress frame type system we have here with the slats, kind of give us a nice bounce back. And then here's what I'm very excited about, the 2026 Reprieve mattress. So this actually has a nice cooling layer up top. It's very, very comfortable. So we have a 52 by 79 inch bed up top, and then back here we have a 58 by 74 inch bed. So it's comfortable whether you're up top or below. And of course we have the removable and roll up blind covers on our windows back here, as well as nice storage above and below. And regardless of which direction we want to face, we have reading lights for either side, which is very nice to see. And these are deep storage solutions. Of course, right here you can see my cab blinds for the front windshield and side doors. But over here I wanted to mention, you guessed it, we've got 12 volt USB and 110 power. But also up here, something I absolutely love that Winnebago does is we have a roof access port already on the roof. So if you have a service center like Colonial RV adds Starlink, Wi-Fi, or cell boosters, we already have an access point for those antennas to run down into the RV. So one less thing to cut, only one place to seal. It's really nice to see this on the Winnebago RVs. Thank you all so much for joining us and for watching this 2026 updates video. Today it's been featuring a Winnebago Solis 59P. If you have any questions about this van or you'd like to see it in person, we are located in Millstone, New Jersey, and you can always reach me by phone at 1-800-265-9019. You could also send me an email at joewelches@colonialrv.com. I'm really excited to hear from you and show you this van, and I'm even more excited to see you in the next Winnebago video.